This is Blue Sky Citadel training. So this evening we're going to look into Azure DevOps to look at how a project manager or a Scrum Master can use this particular tool. And we're going to start looking at the settings, looking at how to create a new project. We're also going to look at how to plan your sprint. Also, we're going to look at how you can actually get your burn down chart, and also how you can do your estimation within this particular tool. So like I said, this tool was formerly called TFS, and it's been metamorphosed into DevOps. Actually, it's kind of conclusive. It's everything is in there. So developers also will use this particular tool, and tester will use this tool, and even repository, you can have your repository into this tool, in this particular tool. So everything is in there. What a development team will need is already been incorporated. Before now, you have them in silos. You have the TFS managing the agile, you have the repository managing the repository, you have the test manager, which is managing the test artifacts and everything. But right now, it's kind of incorporated into, maybe that's where they call it DevOps, basically. So it's everything is together. So what you're going to do, right, you could create a new organization, because as a project manager, you might be the one that will start the project from beginning. So you will create a new organization for your company, and then you would say, okay, I want to continue. So what's your organization called? I can give it a name. I can say intern, let's say Blue Sky Citadel intern 2019 summer. So then, where do you want to host this particular project? You have different options where you want to host it. So we're going to say, yeah, with UK, and it's UK South, but I don't think for you it does matter. So then next time you want to go to the site, you just need to go directly to this site. But as you can see, I think it's too long, so I'm going to shorten this name. I'm going to say summer 19 or S19, Blue Sky S19. So this is going to be the URL to go to, dev.azure.com/Blue Sky S19. So, and we're going to continue. Okay, cool. So you click on continue. That should create your organization for you. So then within the organization, we got our organization right now, Blue Sky S19. So that's the organization that we have. So within your organization now, you can now create a project. So different projects that you want to be working on in this particular company. Your company is going to be is your organization. Then you have several projects as a project manager. So what you would do is you write the name of the project. Let's say the first project that you would be working on is, let's say, is Gift Reach. And then you will decide if you want to have this particular project visible publicly, or you want to make it private. So I will create it private so that it doesn't appear for everyone on the internet. So then you would click on create project. So this is my project now. So, and I can, if for instance, I can say, this is not the right project, the right name rather. I can rename that project now. I can say, it should be Blue Sky, Blue Sky Summer Internship. So, and then the process, you don't need to worry about this. This is basically like a license that you have. So we're going to look into this later. So let's go back. So the process, we'll put on basic, visibility we said is private, but you also have right to change it at this particular time during the edit. So, and then you as a administrator, you can add more administrator. You can add more administrators to your project. So you have different services that you can either enable or disable. You have the board. You can say you want it on or off, but the board is very, very important. So I would advise you put it on. So repository, this is where you put your data or your artifacts as a development team. So that, initially I mentioned that this particular tool is very, very general and universal. So it's used for everything. So repository, this is where you store your development files. Developer can put their artifacts here. The testers also can do the same thing. So then also you can run your pipeline with this particular one if you check that to be on. Then you have different artifacts that you can also use. So I know for the testing we are using Maven. Some of this will be familiar to you. For people that have used C#, they've got NuGet and also npm for those guys that are using Node. So then also as a tester, also they would also be looking at using the test plan, so for their test artifacts. So that is what you would do. For prevention, you mistakenly created this particular project, you have the right also to delete by clicking on the delete. So that's the overview one. So if you go into the teams, so now this particular project, now you can add different team to it. You can say, okay, you can create a new team and you can call them by whatever you want to call them. So let's say we have new blue sky team. So you can create it, you can create that team. Then after you created that team, you can add people to the team, you can add members, so depending on people that you know. So but the person has to be registered in this particular organization that you have, so and have access. So you can do that. So right now I will go back to from team, so you can add teams. So security also, you can set the security who is going to have access to different things. So as you can see from here you can see you go to set the bypass, or you go to set the restore workflow, different things that the activities or tasks that can be done, you can set or allow different people to do them. So depending on I can say this particular team will have access to different privilege, and this particular team will have access to different privilege. So that's what you will do. Also, you can see the members or in this particular team, and also you can see the member the roles that they are also attributed to. So that is in terms of security. You can, in terms of notification, I don't think there are a lot here. Also, let's see what exactly you can get if it comes up. So, and in terms of notification, this is in terms of notification for project manager. I don't think you're going to be looking at this article, because this is where, as a developer, you want, when your builds complete, what exactly you should do, then you can send requests, you can send. So this is basically like on code development, so you don't need to worry about this. So, and also in terms of delivery, so how the emails are delivered, so that's fine. The same way also service hook, you don't need that also. So it's basically different hooks that is available for you to run different services on this particular platform. Then the dashboard, as a project manager or scrum master, you would need access to the dashboard, and I can say maybe this is going to be the most important tool that you are going to be using. This one will be one of the most important tools that you are going to be using, actually. So let's go to project configuration. Also here, I don't think there's anything for you to do right now, but as time goes on, you would use this more often, because this is where you would say, I want to create my iteration. as a Scrum Master, this is very, very important. So maybe I should do this right now, or I'll go back to this one. So, but let's just go through what we have in this particular project setting. So also, okay, before I leave this one, also in this particular project, you might have different areas. Let's say blue sky, there's different area that of the project that you want to set. Let's say you have different team for the login, you have different team for training, you have different team for accessibility testing, or so you put them in different area. You create different area for that. We are going to look into that quickly also. Then on that team configuration, what you're going to set, or you're going to set whether you are able to see the epic or you're able to see the issues. Which one is going to be your backlog navigation level? So more often you want to do both of them actually. Then also, what is your working days? So you check the working days of your team, and also iteration. You can select the iteration that you want. We'll look into this later. And as I said, also the area, also you select the areas. Also you can change the area that you want to set, and you have privilege to use templates. You can create your new templates in there. So I think in this one you don't need to worry about GitHub connections, because this is going to be used by developers. Also agent pool, also it's basically used by developers for you to be able to run different pools in your pipeline. So you don't need to worry about that. Parallel jobs also, it's something that you shouldn't worry about. So, and the settings, the same thing. You don't need to worry about this one. It's talking about the activator and retention policies. So repository, the same thing, and you don't need to worry. And then policy, repository policy, test retention, that it's fine. So what we're going to do, we go back a bit. So, and let's say that's our project settings. Now I think before then we talk about the organization settings. Let's go back a bit. Okay, organization settings. So organization settings, also you can see here you have the overview, what you can change. You can change the name of that organization. You can set the timeline, the time zone rather. Also you got the owner, you can change the owner, you can delete organizations. So, and the same thing with the project. Also you can go into the project overview, and if you want to you can rename the project from what it is right now. I think we already renamed it. I don't know why it's not showing. Let's try to refresh. So because we'll look into this later and see, because we've renamed that particular project. So you can create a new team project also, and users also. You can add new users as a project manager, and then you got your billings. I think that's another thing that you may want to set up also, and see if you can. This is basically how you run your Azure DevOps, which I don't think it's something that unless you are involved in the building of this particular tools, yeah, it's something that you can add different what's it called, different users. And this is true. Is, as you can see, it is free. It's something that you can also set up by yourself and test it within yourself and see how it works. For 5 users, it is free. Then after that, you start to pay basically. So, and I don't want to need any of this, so we leave this right now. So then, okay, so if you go back, let's go back to the project. Okay, let's go back to the project and go back to the team configuration. Now, okay, let's start with the project configuration. Now, let's set up the project now. The first thing, as I think last week we mentioned, is it last week or 2 weeks ago, we talked about the Scrum and also the sprint. So the first thing, before the work starts, you will need to set up this particular one to say when is your sprint, how many days is your sprint, and you will need to set this, configure this actually. So the first one, like, okay, you will say maybe sprint 0 or sprint 1. So let's say we have one that it's actually sprint 0. We set this as sprint 0. Sprint 0 is your initiation sprint, that basically everyone trying to bring everybody together and you agree on different tasks that you're going to do, maybe some preparatory tasks and everything. And after that, you also set up. This is when also you're going to be doing this setup also if it's required, or unless if you are hired before everyone starts actually, so you might be able to set it up for them before they arrive. So now, so for sprint 0, and traditionally most of the sprints will be 2 weeks. So let's say we are going to start our sprint on a Tuesday, which is tomorrow, and then it's going to last for 2 weeks. So that would go on to 20th of August. So then you're going to save and close. Then after that, you would click on new. So then you click on new, and you would also say, okay, this is our sprint 1, and when does it start? It starts from, so sometimes it's kind of very, very clever to actually know where the last one actually ends. So the following day, it's put that default for you. Then also it does something also clever. Sometimes you also make sure that you have 2 weeks, because you've already set 2 weeks before, as you can see from 21st, and you just calculated 2 weeks for you. So you need to look at it. It's really, really good. Then you click and save. That's our second sprint. So then we go. Also, what you need to do, you click you sprint 2. So our sprint 2 will start from that day, and also we select that, and then if we check that the end date also is 2 weeks. So but in some cases your end date might not be 2 weeks, but in most places I have worked by experience, traditionally it's like 2 weeks sprint that they do. So but I've seen where people, they've done 3 weeks sprint, 3 week sprint. I've seen even 4 week or a month sprint. So depending on what your team is doing. But if you are going to be the one that will decide on what the duration of the sprint is, so I would say 2 weeks is fine. Quickly, let's go. I think we've touched base on this before, the duration. So, and okay, before we go to the team, so I think then also in some cases you would, it's not that frequent that you will have child actually on to be honest. So on sprint 0, maybe you want to have another sprint on top of it. It's not commonly used anyway, so I will leave that. But you have capabilities to actually create a child. Let's say this is now on sprint. Let me say it's, let me close this one. On sprint 1, we want now create like sprint 1B. So the only thing that can make this happen is you have some people, when you do 4-week sprints and you want to break them into sprints, like, okay, for instance, if you are doing a monthly sprint and a month is too big, so you want to break them into 2, then you will have like sprint August, and then you have August A, August B. So basically August A will be 15 days, the first 15 days, then August B will be the later days. So that is where this is applicable, to be honest. So, and except from that, I don't see when, but it's not, I don't think it's widely used. So yeah, as you can see, is now within that particular sprint. So in most cases, it should fall within this parent sprint anyway. So that's what I can say. Then in terms of the area, So you will come into the area. So now we have the gift rate as the area. So you would have different area and say, let's say registration. Maybe that is one area that people are working on. So you will put that. And also another one also is maybe that is registration and login. So let's put that together. Or authorization and authentication. So, and then you could create some some children under it in registration, and you can also create login under. So then if you go back again and say, let's create a child under that and say, let's say we have a blog. We can say, okay, some people are working on the blog, and we have static pages. Some people are working on the static pages. So, and you can see that is under that one. I need to edit that so that I move it to where it should be. It should be under the parent one. So one thing I don't know where that name is coming from. I think I need to go back because this was changed. So let's go quickly, but that's what you would do in project configuration anyway. So before you come back to the team configuration, let's go back to the overview and see. I think this is not changed. I thought I changed this project name to Blue Sky before and see what happened. Blue Sky Summer 2018-19, and let's save it. Oh, I think I did not actually save that before I leave. So it said, what does it say? I understand. Oh, okay, it said Blue Sky Summer 2009. So okay, so he asked me to type the name again, so just to be sure. So I'll say yeah. So let's go back to the project now. That is changed, that's what we are looking for. So which is good. So now we've done the area also, and that also is been changed. So you have that opportunity to change your project name to whatever you want it to be. So if you have any questions, so you could type your question down so I can answer as I go. Okay, then under your team configuration, you would now go with this is set, so you don't need to do anything there unless your working day is different. So okay, and then you would go and select your iteration for your team. So and say we're starting with sprint 0, we'll go in there. So select sprint 1, sprint 2. So this is our different sprints now. So your current sprint, you can set it or you can change it. So for our current sprint, we can say it is sprint 0. So that's our default sprint. So but you can set it and say cancel because you want this to be current. At current iteration will be that particular iteration which the date falls now. For instance, today is, what's today's date? Yeah, 5th of August. So that is going to say there's no current actually. For instance, if I change this one to say let's all start from today, let's my sprint start from today. So that means that becomes my current iteration basically, because that is the one that it's current now. Your backlog will be everything in your Blue Sky summer 2019. So that means everything here with all the sprint 1 and sprint 2 and also sprint 3, that's your backlog, which you can also change to say if you can change different things. I know some people would have another iteration and they put their backlog in there, but I don't think that's a wise decision to do. So your backlog should be, as what they say, this backlog is basically like your project backlog. So from your project backlog, you select things that you want to move into the sprint. So that's how it works. So in the parent directory, your project backlog is the parent directory, and then each item that you've selected will go into the sprint. So that's what you will do. Then also, now let's go to the area. So you could also select different areas that you want to see. So you can also, I want to include these sub areas, so, and you can do that also. I think I've selected that, so I can select another one. So that's what, and also you can also create a new one from here. Also, we are not going to talk about the template, but you can create a new template to replace the one that you have presently. So then also, I think you could, so okay, let's go back to the project. Okay, so let's go back to the budget settings. So now let's look at the process that we are trying to follow. So we are epic issues, tax, tax cases, and so in most cases I'm looking to do agile, but I don't think this is basically Scrum. So I need to change that particular settings to use Scrum basically. If I remember where it is, 1 minute. So process, and if this has got, okay, yeah, so you go to the process, you can change. I don't want to use the basic one, I want to use the Scrum. So with the Scrum, as you can see, it gives you the product backlog item and also epic features, impediments, tags, test cases. So you can select which process you want. So I would use the Scrum one. So this is what I'm going to use. So if I say create inherited process, then set as my default process, change project. So that's what I want to do. I want to change this particular team project to use Scrum, or you could set this one to be your default process, so that anytime you create a new project, you will use Scrum automatically. Also, you have Agile also in Agile. So let's go into there. So you have Agile. The only thing that you can see is got the concept of bug, epic, feature, and issues. Instead of issues in Scrum, you will call it product backlog item. So, but in this particular Agile framework is called issues, and tax stream main tax. No, sorry, it's actually user story. Sorry, it's actually user story. So it's not issues. So it's user story. You have, instead of product backlog item, you have user story. And let's go back to our Scrum again. And you can see there's no concept of issues. What you have is bug actually. So I know in some cases there's some discussion about what an issue is. So you have bug, and instead of the issue, it is called impediment. That's what Scrum will say, because if you have impediment, that means you have obstacles. And then your product backlog item is what that one actually called the user story in the story. So let's go back again. So it's the user story. So the other one, time of test, will still remain the same, bugs still remain the same. Then your, okay, since we are not going to use this, I'll go back and we'll set the Scrum that we're going to use, set the Scrum default. So I've got a few minutes to finish. So okay, so and let's look into CMMI. It's not, I don't think lots of people will use this anyway, as you can see. So, but if it's something that you also want to do, it's got more details. You can see it's got change request. You can create review. You can create risk. So you can create issues also the same way. But and the instead of product backlog item or user story, you got requirements. So depending on what you want to do. So let's go to our Agile. So Scrum actually. So backlog levels. What's going to be our backlog level? We can say, okay, our backlog level should be as a feature, and is the default, and also at Epic, these are backlog level, and also requirement backlog, or sorry, portfolio backlog is going to be Epic, because this is the settings. Portfolios is what you have at the top. Then when you break your portfolio down, you are in requirement backlog. So when you break your backlog, requirement backlog down into product backlog, and you have also the sprint backlog and everything. So, and also you would now create your product backlog and attach different tasks to them. So what developers or keyways or any member of the team are going to be working on will be tasks, but the description and information about that particular requirement is going to be stored in the product backlog item. So that is what you have. Also, there's other work items, which is like bugs or impediments. So for instance, if you a tester or any member of the team create a bug, you have to select the work item bug to be for it to be referred as bug. Then also you will now have different projects that is using this particular process. But as right now, we would change our go back. Let's try to change our project team to use Scrum. So there is no current project available to change to Scrum process. So is that right? So okay. So let's go back to our project and let's see if we can change that. So if you go to the board now, I think in work item, let's see if we board. See spring. Okay, it is not used, so we need to change that, I think. So this is I'm expecting to see different one actually. So and the project is that one. So let's go to the process again. I want to okay, there's no project. That's weird. So okay, let's go. Okay, this is at organization level. Okay, let's go back to the project one. Let's go back to the project view. So at the project view, okay, this is the project setting. So we should be able to change it from here. I think maybe this has not got right, so we should be able to change this to a different project. To a different process so that we can use the right process, because I don't want us to use the basic, I want to use the Scrum. Let's go. Okay. It's going back to the that's organization. This goes about cannot be modified access control. I'm not sure whether I've got the right to be able to change that. So, but let's say create. try again 1 minute. Okay, so I've finally got it actually. So if I can recall it again, so if you go back to the basic, which we want to change to Scrum. So if you think, where's that again? No, okay, sorry. So if we go back to the basic now, and we say projects, so we can change this particular process, and then it allows you to select the target one, which says Scrum. So and then said one, if you change, of course, if you change it within your project, so it's very good to change it as early as possible. Otherwise, if you change it within your project, it's going to make a lot of things to disappear, and also it might also break your board actually. So we just started setting it up, so I would say yeah, I'm fine with that. So and then we can see what happens. So let's close that one. So if you now, so the next one we've done, we've been able to set up our project as we actually wanted it. Let's see what else we need to do. We don't need the pipeline, we don't need the board, we don't need the security, maybe leave that. So, but we've been able to do set up the users, the project is fine. So if you go into our project, we've set up the overview, we added team, security, notification, we didn't do anything. And also our process is showing that we are using Scrum, then it's private, we go administrator, we've been able to check that on, so everything is fine. So then we can go and do overview of this particular section. So I would, yeah, quickly I will just finish with two things. We start from here next week basically. So now, in terms of summary, so when you go to summary, having logged in, you finish your configuration, you've been able to, yeah, about to start. So you will say, welcome to the project. So you can decide to use whatever you want, the service that you want to use, or if you want to manage that particular service. So basically it takes you back to our project settings. Well, we've been able to actually manage or administer what we think is right as is now. So then your project starts is going to appear here. Right now we don't have any statistics because we just started, and then we have different members in this particular team. So you can have more members, and also you can also invite people. Let's say I've got myself, if I'm appearing, so I'm not mine. So okay, I'm not. So yeah, so you can add different people, and I think if you say so, as I've not been assigned, so you need to assign that user anyway. So if you do that, I think I can quickly show you that how to assign users. So let's say I've got the team and organization. Let's go to the organization level, users. So you can add new user. So let's say add new user. So I've got new user and I want to have access to this. So you put that, you give them the project that you want to have access to, and then also at what level do you want them to have access to that particular project. So I can say, oh, I want to give this user, let's say this is, let's say if you can find me or not, ads. Okay, so I've got myself added. Now what you need to do also if you go back, you can add different other user also and set their rules, and also, or you can also import. So, and if you go back to where we were now, okay, let's go into, okay, now we have two members in this particular team, basically. So then you could go to the dashboard. Your dashboard should contain information on that particular, that you can actually set, or there's some widget that you can put on your dashboard to make it nice and neat. So, but right now, this is what we have on our dashboard: the Blue Sky team, and also the overview of the old Blue Sky 2000 team. But you can make it nicer as on, but this also depends on the information that you have. The wiki is basically where you can put your information that you want the team to see. You can also use this to actually do like a training or guide to for the team also, basically, so that you can publish it and send it to everyone. So we're going to stop here because this is a big one. But what we're going to do, I'll just quickly go through work items. So in work items, because we are using Scrum right now, so as you can see, you have bug. When you want to create a new bug, this is what you need to do. You want to create an epic, this is, you use the epic. You want to create a feature or impediment or product backlog item, tags, or test case, you just create that one from here. So from next week, we're going to look into our board, creating new board, and also we're going to close some stories. And then after that, we look into how to do backlog items. So when you are going to do your planning, what do you put in there, and how do you do your planning meetings and everything. So after your planning meetings, so how do you now set up your sprint to start to work. Then after that, we look into what happened within the sprint. So within the sprint, what are the things that a project manager or a scrum master would do? And I will emphasize there is no concept of a project manager in Scrum. So what you're going to have is a scrum master. Even though maybe you are hired as a project manager, I would say you'll be working as a scrum master within a scrum, because if you are going to be using agile, you are going to be a scrum master, basically. Then also we look into queries. How is also very important, even for a scrum master, to be able to use queries to say how many items was posted, how many items were work items were closed, how many bugs were opened, how many bugs were closed, what are the different you have different things that you can also create your queries about, and also you can share your queries. So we're going to look into this next week in the concept of a scrum master. Then after that, you have all reports also that are created. You have reports for spring activities, you have reports for burn down chart and everything. So we're going to look into that. Time will not permit us to look into this tonight, but next week we're going to look into this. So let's meet again next week. Is there any question?